Everyone loves football.
It's a Zach Gelb Show. Football Friday on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, Eagles try to bounce back from their first loss of the season. I didn't see it coming, neither did my next guest, who does a great job joining us each and every Football Friday. That's Mark Eckel from NJ.com, who joins us right now on the Zach Gelb Show. Mark, a pleasant good Friday. Thanks for the time, and how are you?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing great. So let's recap last week. One thing that did surprise me, yes, the Eagles losing, but another was that they got off to such a slow start. What did you make of the slow start?
Matthew Stafford played really well. Eagles defense a little bit out of sync. Was not crazy about the coaching decision to rotate the linebackers and have Stephen Tulloch and Michael Kendricks in the nickel instead of Nigel Bradham and Jordan Hicks. And I think the Lions kind of exposed that a little bit with a short passing game to Theo Riddick and kind of taking advantage of some mismatches there.
And they weren't even sending a message to Bradham, which was something we talked about last week when I looked at the snap count. You're right. I still don't understand why they would try to fix something that wasn't broken.
Well, their explanation was, and I mean, you have to buy it. It's their explanation. I don't agree with it, but their point was that the first drive was a long drive. The second drive, that they just didn't want. They wanted to keep. I'll say this about Jim Schwartz. Just knowing him for 4 games now. He's big on keeping guys fresh for the fourth quarter, and it's worked. I mean, Eagles have been a very good fourth quarter team this year. So, but I guess his point is that he'll take a bad play or a bad series early to be better late, and so he likes to rotate guys, and that's what their thing was. They wanted to keep. They didn't want Bradham and Hicks taking that many. I mean, he rotates the front four as well. If you notice, you'll see Fletcher Cox come out for Bo Allen, or the 3 ends, Graham, Curry, and Barwin are always rotating in and out. So he does do it a lot. I just think it was the Lions. I mean, give the Lions credit for seeing what was out there and taking advantage of it. And with all that said, Michael Kendricks just has to play better.
And I don't know if that's going to happen, because I had Brian Baldinger on the show earlier this week, and when I talked about the problems of Michael Kendricks, because it's a mystery to me, all Baldy could say was, hey, he just looks like a fat ass. That's what he said to me. He goes, he doesn't think he could turn this thing around. He
did gain weight, and we noticed that. Elliot Shore-Parks and I think Elliot wrote it first, but we both talked about. We noticed right away in minicamp he looked a lot bigger, and I guess he wanted to get stronger and to be better against a run, but I think it's hurt him, coverage-wise. But I don't even think I'm not even sure it's just that. His instincts just seem off to me. I don't know if his head's not in the game right now. If he feels like the staff doesn't trust him, so he's a little down about everything. He just doesn't. He doesn't look like the same player that we've seen the first few years of his career. That's for certain.
Even with all the problems, they still had a very good chance to win the game, and they win the game if Matthews doesn't cough up the football. And I didn't love the Wentz decision to go deep. So how about Matthews fumbling the football and then Wentz at the end of the game going deep? And also say Nelson Aguilar has to make a better play on that football. Right. But still, I didn't love the decision to go deep there.
Well, let's go one at a time. Matthews' play was the play. I mean, in spite of the defense giving up the 21 points and a half, despite the 14 penalties, despite everything else that happened, they overcame all of it. They had the lead, the ball, 3rd and 2. Pick up the first down, the game is over.
Would you have passed there?
I wouldn't have hated it. I didn't mind a run on 3rd and 2. I remember when 3rd and 2 used to always be a running down. But the worst thing that you could do there is fumble. I mean, that's the only thing. Even if he doesn't gain a yard, it's 4th and 2. You got Donnie Jones, one of the best punters in football. He's going to punt him deep. So the Lions are going to have to go, most of the length of the field to beat you, and they haven't done anything since the first half. So the game wasn't over with a punt, but it was in pretty good shape with a punt. First down, the game's over. So Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have ripped them if they passed. I didn't rip them for running. I ripped Ryan Matthews for putting the ball on the ground, which he absolutely cannot do. And it wasn't like a jarring, big-time hit that knocked the ball. He just had the ball in the wrong hand. So, I mean, that's unexcusable to me. Wentz's last pass, yeah, he's made better decisions. But, I mean, he saw a one-on-one deep. You know, he took a chance with it. I'm never going to fault, especially a rookie quarterback, for being too aggressive, because if that's his weakness, and I've written this a couple times this week, that if his weakness is that he's too aggressive, that's a pretty good weakness, I guess. I mean, if that's what we're going to fault him for, and like you said earlier, Aguilar, if he's not going to catch that ball, which he wasn't going to, then he has to become the defensive back and not let Darius Slay catch it. Even if he interferes with him, so what? Take the 10-yard penalty. At least you still have the ball. So there's that. But one play that gets overlooked by everyone, and I think it was obviously it was a crucial play to the game, was after the Lions recover Matthews' fumble, they're still at the 40-something yard line. They're not in field goal range when they recovered the fumble, and it was 3rd and 4 at, I believe, the 40. Again, 40-something, and they let the Lions convert a big third down pass to Golden Tate that got them to within easy
That's
field
right.
goal range.
That's a good point.
Stop them on that play. It's 4th and 4. I think it would have been a 58-yard field goal at that point, which means they probably would have gone for it on 4th and 4. So, you know, come up with a better play on 3rd and 4. You know, stop Golden Tate there, and they could still win the game as well. That play gets forgotten about because of Wentz's interception and Matthews' play, of course. So, there's all that. It was just a bad loss. When you look it up, add it all up, it comes out to a bad loss.
It was also a poorly officiated game. How bad were the officials from what you've seen after all these years covering this team?
I never, ever, ever, ever question an official. I'm not an official, so I'm not going to question one. I mean, calls go against you, calls go for you. It happens. They don't. I mean, Fletcher Cox tore a guy's helmet off. That's a penalty, right?
Yeah, but then also they need to know which way the team is moving when you had the illegal men downfield.
That wasn't a penalty. All right, they screwed up that play. Yeah, they said 9, but that wasn't a penalty, so that didn't hurt nobody. I never blame officials.
Okay.
I mean, the only time I've ever blamed an official was when they had the fake refs and they took the game away from Green Bay.
That's right. Mark Eckel with us on the Zach Gelb Show from NJ.com. So a lot of the hot topics this week has been a possibility of Deshaun Jackson returning to the Eagles next year. Would the Eagles be interested?
It's a good question. I don't think so, but you never know. I mean, it would be a. I don't think so. I'm just going to say I don't think they want him. I think they want a guy. They would love a guy like him, just not him.
They do need to bring in a wide receiver, though. You don't want to go through another thing where you went through with Andy Reid, and yes, you want to have that success, but you have to surround the quarterback with a good wide receiver, right?
Well, Jordan Matthews is a good wide receiver. They need another one. That's all. They have one. And let's see what Dorial Green-Beckham turns into, but between now and the end of the year.
So a lot's going to be made of the offense this week, and this is an offense that's going to have a new offensive line. One player on that with Big V. How do you like the offensive line this week, Mark?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I like the move. I like what they did. I prefer putting one guy in at right tackle.
Agreed.
As opposed to moving Barber from left guard to right tackle and putting a new guy in a left guard, because then you're weakening yourself at two positions. I mean, no matter who you put at right tackle, he's not going to be as good as Lane Johnson, because if he was, he would have been playing ahead of Lane Johnson, right? So so that's a fact. By moving Barber out of left guard, you would have you wouldn't have been as good at left guard. So now you're still the same. 4 of your guys are the same. Vaitai is going to, he's obviously not as good as Lane Johnson, and it's his first ever game. Never mind his first ever start, his first ever game. So he's going to make, again, I said it's not Carson Wentz. He was going to make rookie mistakes, and he really has. So maybe this guy won't either. I don't know. But at right tackle, and Peterson kind of said it today at his press conference. He can help him as a coach. He can help him. He could keep Selleck over there to help him block. He could keep it back in to help him out. So you could give help to a right tackle. If the other 4 guys are doing their job and playing well, you can mask things at right tackle. And I think they're going to start off letting him see what happens. But if if it looks like he's getting beat or he's struggling over there, they're going to have to give him help. And then that would take away a little bit from the offense. But hey, they knew this was coming. I mean, Lane Johnson was going to get suspended eventually. It could have been from day one. I think that would have been worse because Vaitai would have had at least he's been practicing for a month going against and that's kind of how he won the job, according to Peterson, because the original plan, if you remember, was to move Barber. If Johnson would have gotten suspended at the start of the season,
Barber would have been the right tackle.
Yeah, because that's how they were practicing in even in the preseason games. Barber was playing right tackle, and either they would have gone with Wisniewski or Sumalo at left guard. With the months that transpired in between, Vaitai runs plays with the number 2 offense at right tackle. So he goes against Eagles' number 1 defense every day. And apparently, we don't get to see practice anymore, but apparently he's done a good job going against Vinnie Curry and Connor Barwin and Brandon Graham every day. So they said, wow, if he's holding up in practice pretty well against our guys, and our guys are pretty good, he should be okay to do it in a game. So now we'll find out if the practice field translates to the real field.
For this week, the pass protection doesn't really concern me because, like you said, you can help him out, and also with Carson Wentz, he can help him out too by having some quick release and moving around with the pocket. We talk about his footwork. We're really going to see what this Eagles offensive line is made out of with Big V is in the run game, because you should be able, I know the Eagles run game is not great, but you should be able to run all over this pathetic run defense with the Washington Redskins. I think they're going to run the ball a decent amount on Sunday. I
would think so. The Redskins allow 5.1 yards a carry, which is very high. That's the worst in the league, and that. Now, I agree with you. I hope the Eagles do run the ball more. I think they should run the ball more. But I'd like to see somebody besides Ryan Matthews run the ball. I mean, last week it was Matthews. Sproles got a few carries. I still to this day can't figure out what happened to Wendell Smallwood. He ran for 79 yards against the Steelers, had a very good game against a good defense, and didn't get a carry against the Lions. I asked Peterson after the game. He gave me the typical, well, it was a flow of the game, blah blah. I don't want to hear about flow of the game. The kid played well. He should be out there.
Have you ever gotten in a confrontation with the player? I don't know if you saw the story this week in New York after the Packers game, how Eric Flowers got in a confrontation. Does Mark Eckel ever get in confrontations with players?
It's funny you bring that up because Jordan's a good friend of mine. Jordan Renan, who's now with ESPN, he used to work at NJ.com. We've known each other for years, and he and I, we had the same conversation. Never physical.
Okay.
I've never had a player put their hands on me or push me But yeah, in 30 years, you're going to have conflicts. I mean, I've had guys. I've written things, and I know. When you write a story and you criticize a guy, you have to expect if he sees it or hears about it, he's going to say something to you, and you got to be like, just stand your ground and hey, listen. I'm sorry. I mean, Andy Reid and I have had classic confrontations. Joe Banner and I have had screaming. I've more management and coaches with me than players through the years. But there's been a couple players through the years that. Antone Davis, the former number 1 pick back in 91, I guess it was, didn't like something I wrote once and actually had a copy of it in his hand and balled it up and threw it at me. Of course, like most of his blocks, he missed me.
Well, it was the same thing with Eric Flowers. I guess to some extent he couldn't block anyone. At least he blocked Jordan the other night.
Yeah. He had a little bit of a weight advantage on Jordan. And Anton also told me, I'm never going to talk to you again. And I looked at him and I went, I'm not sure I've ever talked to you since, so I think I'll be fine.
That's great. Mark Eckel with us. All right, so when Wentz does decide to pass the ball, that's going to happen this Sunday. How much do you think he'll test Josh Norman?
I don't think he'll completely stay away from him, but I think you're smart. And just why would you though? I mean, the rest of the Redskins defense isn't very good, so. I think the smart decision is if whoever Norman's covering go to the other guy. I mean, just because that's the better matchup for you. That was my problem with the long, getting back just for a second on the long pass. That wasn't a good matchup. Darius Slay is the Lions' best player on the field at that time, by far. I think he made both plays. He forced the fumble on Matthews as well. So yeah, I always think you stay away from the other team's strength and go at their weakness, which leads me to, I think Zach Ertz is going to have a big game. I think the Redskins are very vulnerable to a good tight end. Over the middle. Their safeties aren't very good. Their linebackers are okay, but I don't know how they're going to use them. I would look for a lot of Zach Ertz this week.
It doesn't appear that the other tight end for the Redskins, as you mentioned, Zach Ertz, a tight end for the Eagles, Reed is going to play, and that's a scary situation. 6 concussions in the last 6 years, so the Eagles do catch a break. But when I look at this Redskins team, the two players that do scare me, Reed and also Josh Norman, you're probably not going to see Reed. We already talked about Norman. Does anything else give you a little cause for concern with the Redskins going up against the Eagles? Because I really don't see it with this Redskins team.
Well, Deshaun does. Yeah, I mean, Deshaun Jackson, for whatever you think of him, the guy can still get deep. And the Eagles' corners are not, they're okay. I mean, they haven't gotten killed yet this year, so I'll give them that. But you got to, I got to keep a safety deep, right? I mean, I can't let Deshaun burn me for 50, 60-yard passes. And they're going to try. So that's, and their other receivers are good. The Redskins have good receivers. The kid Crowder is playing very well at a slot for him. And I still see Pierre Garçon.
Yeah, good player.
Last year, he killed him. I mean, Jackson didn't even play that first game down in Washington, and Kirk Cousins took the Redskins 90 yards in the final minutes to beat the Eagles, and it was all Pierre Garçon, bang, 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 right down the field, right to the winning touchdown. So the Redskins, they have a good group of receivers. They're going to miss Reed. There's no doubt if he doesn't play, and I'm assuming he's listed as questionable, but I got to think there's no way they let him play this week with a concussion, being in the protocol and all. So, that's a big – but, the Eagles have gotten breaks a lot this year. Like the Lions were playing without their two best defensive players, and Ziggy Ansah and DeAndre Levy, and without their tight end, Eric Ebron, and the Eagles didn't take – so, again, the Eagles have another opportunity here to – I think they're better than the Redskins anyway, and taking away – the Redskins are a little banged up on defense. They don't have Reed. This is a game the Eagles should win. I know it's on the road, but I still think they should win this game.
I'm going 27-20. What's your score?
I think I went 28-24.
Okay, fair enough. Mark Eckel with us. What about Fletcher Cox? I saw he was questionable with the ankle.
He's fine. No, he's fine. Peterson said he's going to play. He practiced today. I'd be shocked if he didn't play.
Okay. Before we let you run, latest stop on the book tour last night was Chickies and Pete's in Bordentown. Heard it was a big success. What's coming up next on the big book tour?
We have a little bit of a break, believe it or not.
Look at you.
A little bit.
Are you getting complacent? Are you getting lazy now because you've had some success?
No, God, I want to go out. I'll do one every night. It's just the way the schedule fell. But a week from Saturday, I'll be at the Barnes & Noble at the Neshaminy Mall. And a week from Monday, I'll be at the Chickie and Pete's in Northeast Philadelphia on the Boulevard.
Oh, I'll come down. I'll come to the one on Monday. That's close to where I live. I'll be at the one Monday.
I assume that you lived close to the state. But you're a Philly guy then.
Yeah, I'm from New York, so I don't want to say I'm a Philly guy, but yes, I do live in Philly.
Oh, see, I thought you lived in Mercer County somewhere.
Well, you learn something new every day. Mark Eckel, you're the best. We learn a lot from you. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, Zach. Take care.